Good evening. Just an additional reminder, if you have not found a seat yet, we'll begin in a couple moments, but please find a seat. Thank you. Good evening, District 6, elected officials, particularly our state delegates, senators, and the Baltimore County Board of Education members. I do want to mention that we do have representation from Chris Van Hollen's office. Jessica Clayton, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Brenda Panny. I am your district's Community Engagement Outreach Coordinator for the Baltimore County Executive, Johnny Olszewski Jr. It is my utmost pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to our 5th annual Town Hall Series. It makes me so happy to see so many familiar as well as unfamiliar faces in the audience tonight. As the County Executive has stated, government works best when our residents drive the conversation. This Town Hall Series continues the County Executive's efforts of achieving the most open, accessible, and responsive county government. To continue to build a better Baltimore County, we must build together. Thus, we are encouraging you, the residents of Baltimore County, to participate in our county's budget process. Before we begin tonight, I would like to introduce to you the principal of Towson High School, Charlene Domino.
Good evening and welcome to Towson High School. As the principal of Towson High School, I have the distinct pleasure of providing some welcoming remarks this evening. 26 years ago, when I began my career with Baltimore County Public Schools at Sparrows Point Middle School in the southeast area of the county, I remember our county executive as a middle school student at SPMS. While I didn't teach the infamous Johnny O because he took French and I was teaching Spanish and the world language chair at the time, I share this information with you not for the realization that, wow, I'm really old, but simply to remind us of the impact of an individual. The fact that I remember him from 26 years ago as a student reminds us that one person can make a lasting impression and impact. So tonight, you have an opportunity to provide input for our county executive and our representatives that are here this evening, like Councilman Ertel, whose children also attended the Towson Peter Academy. And they possess the ability and authority to make fundamental change. So you have a voice and have impact to make a change. We appreciate you, your time and your efforts, and our collaboration and input that we will hear this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Principal Domino. Tonight, we continue with fiscal year 2024's budget discussions here in District 6, hosted by your County Executive, Johnny Olszewski Jr., and your Council Member, Mike Ertel. After the County Executive's budget presentation, those interested in speaking tonight will have an opportunity to share their budget-related priorities within a time allotment of 2 minutes per speaker. When directed, please line up at one of the designated microphones located in front of the auditorium. The county executive, the appropriate department head, or Councilman Ertel will address your inquiries, concerns, and/or ideas. If we're unable to answer a question tonight, we will have a coordinator from the Office of Community Engagement follow up with you directly. Now, without further delay, but prior to introducing, I do want to recognize Delegate Carl Jackson in the person. Thank you so much for all that you did for our district. Now, without further delay, it is my honor and utmost privilege to welcome your Councilman, Mike Ertel.
Good evening, everyone. What a good crowd. I just wanted to say a few words before we bring up the county exec. Ms. DeMimo didn't tell you that she had to deal with at least one of my unruly children here at Council High. We had a lot of good years here as generals. So the 6th district is new, and some of you may not know the layout of what we have here in the 6th district. So we have some of the oldest communities in the county, in the sense that it's a lot of proud and vibrant communities of the county. Everything from Towson to Parkville, Overley, Fullerton, Rosedale, and a little slither of Middle River in the district as well. And all the communities are similar in the sense that we have a lot of infrastructure needs. We have a lot of similar issues in the sense that a lot of the neighborhoods that are in our district border the city. We have a lot of things that we need to tackle. And that's the same for the county as well, in that we have a lot of things that are going on. A lot of you are here to talk about different issues tonight, obviously. And we are there to help. We want to make the quality of life here in Baltimore County better for everyone. We're working real hard to do that. The county exec is very committed to kind of a new day in Baltimore County. We need to do better on a lot of fronts, and we're working really hard to do that. So if there's any underlying message tonight, that is that, like I said, we're working on everything from public safety to trash to getting rid of graffiti, just a lot of different things. Public safety, obviously, all around. School safety, school performance. There's just a lot of things we need to tackle, and a lot of good things to talk about tonight. We can see how the budget works and just where we're committing some of our resources. So I really thank everyone for coming out tonight. This is part of how we build a better county, when we have input from our citizens. And these town halls have been really a great way for people to, before these town halls, and Johnny, this is a credit to you, I think we'd have like 2 people show up. And now we have hundreds at each different council district. So it's a great way to talk about issues in the county. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up our county executive, Johnny Olszewski.
And I'm an old teacher, so I'm going to not go on stage. I just want to first thank Councilman Ertel for his partnership. You all should know that Mike has been a council member who has hit the ground running, and I've seen him really display a level of engagement and community advocacy that's evident that his care for this community is real, it's palpable, and Councilman, I appreciate your partnership. You've really sort of distinguished yourself as someone who is passionate about your district, and I look forward to the term ahead and delivering on the promises. Thank you, Principal DeMino, for hosting us. Je suis désolé, je parle français, je ne parle pas espagnol. I'd be happy to know that I continue with my studies, though. So, But I think I just wanted to share the feelings mutual though, because we know that in our lives, I've been blessed to have been touched by so many people who have cared for and invested in me, and really the improbable journey of being in this role was made possible by those people who put that time and investment in me. So thank you for being one of those people along the way. I want to thank our leadership team here in Baltimore County. So many of you may have had the chance to interact with some of our departments and department leadership in the open town hall prior to the town hall. And if you did not avail yourself of that, as folks have questions or feedback about the budget, we'll be asking various department heads and their staff to speak up and talk. So thank you to the Baltimore County team for your presence tonight. Most importantly, thanks to the community. It's really a testament to this district and to this county that literally in all 7 districts where I sit alongside Councilman Ertel and his colleagues, that we see hundreds of residents show up. So let's dive right in so we can hear from you. Because of, I think, how we've done things, we've been able to change the paradigm. And the councilman's right, we have more building to do, but I'm proud of the foundation we've built in this first term. And I think we're really poised to tackle some of the challenges that are out there. We hit the ground running together, whether it was ethics reform or the Office of the Inspector General that we created together, standing up a 311 service, creating a public financing system for local elections, having an Office of Community Engagement, and your district representative is Verinda, who brought greetings this evening. She's joined by Mandy Remmel, who's the Director of Community Engagement. So if you have any community-specific questions, we're proud to have launched BC Stat, which is our data-driven governance program. BC Stat is also the department that has stood up all the dashboards where, whether it's crime or code enforcement, you can see community-specific details about issues that you care about. We built the county's first ever open budget platform where you can now go into that platform and see down to the check where your tax dollars are going every year. And then also we have this town hall series, whereas as Mike said, it went from 2 people testifying in the 2 years prior to my election 4 years ago to having had hundreds of people testify and thousands of people be engaged again. Hat tip and testament to each and every one of you. In that work and in these town halls, we were able to close an inherited $81 million deficit in a comprehensive bipartisan way. We delivered what was hailed as one of the best public health responses to the worst public health crises of our lives. And we've made record investments in education, public safety, and infrastructure. Now I say that because I know that we're going to also ask for and hear more investment needs. We recognize that we're an aging county with aging infrastructure, and in some places we frankly have underinvested. So we're looking forward to talking to you tonight about where those investments should be in the years ahead. Just a brief overview about our budget. Our budget is broken into operating and capital budgets, not unlike the General Assembly, Delegate Jackson. And where our operating comes from, that's really the day-to-day, the spend, the annual upkeep of our people and our programs. Almost half of that funding comes from real property and income taxes. The rest comes from state aid, federal aid, fees, and where does it go? Vast majority of all of our budget goes towards education in Baltimore County, one of the most important investments we can make. BCPS receives over half of our budget, over $2 billion. In our schools, our community college and libraries receive the balance of that. Other critical investments are public safety, which receives almost $500 million a year in Baltimore County. Investments which we've grown in recent years, and we'll talk about that later, as well as public works and transportation and things like our health and recreational services. That's the operation, that's the people and the programs. We also have a capital budget, which is funded primarily by 2 things. One is our metro water fees, so we pay a fee into the water and sewer system, and we'll talk about that later tonight too. But that is about half of where the money comes in. It's also where half of the money goes out for paying for the sewers and the pipes and the water and all that fun stuff. The other primary driver of our capital budget is from general obligation bonds. So when you voted for the councilman, or not, I voted for myself, or not, in November, you also voted on borrowing ordinances. And those ordinances are for things like our police precincts, our fire stations, our schools, open space. And then you see that those general obligation bonds largely go towards our schools, towards public works, towards our buildings, our community colleges, et cetera. On top of that, if we go back one for 1 second. On top of the $3+ billion there, every year, if there's a small surplus, we can also do what's called pay-as-you-go or pay-go budgetary spending. That means that we can take some excess money towards and use one-time funding towards one-time needs. A lot of that is how we actually have funded some of these community projects that you have brought to us in years past. We've used that additional capital, not to grow the operating budget, but to put towards those community investments. Thank you. Every year, Councilman Ertel and his colleagues on the County Council provide to my administration basically guideposts. It's called the Spending Affordability Guidelines. It says this is how much, based on our economic growth, that you can grow the budget, County Executive. And so every year we take those numbers that are provided by the County Council to the Executive Office, and we share those with all of the departments. We basically say, based on the projected growth in the budget, the limit to which we're going to be held by the County Council, you all need to be looking at this as a target in your budget. The current year that we're in our over $4 billion budget, fiscal year 23, provided for 4.7% growth. That's $107 million of new operational spending, $107 million more for people and programs. Now, that sounds like a lot of money, but when you really break that down, where did that money go? So almost half of that increase went directly into our people through salaries and salary increases. Another 25% of that, $100+ million, went into insurance contributions and OPEB requirements. OPEB is the retiree health care that we have to pay for every year. 17% went to required increases, things like increased gas, electricity, other sort of fixed costs. And that left about 13% for us to fund new programs or invest in new people. So last year, based on your feedback and the feedback from other communities, we did the following things. We created 2 new reforestry divisions within the Department of Environmental Protection and Sustainability, funding things like the street tree program and our Operation Retree, which goes into urban communities and reforests communities that have been left behind. We stood up a green infrastructure division within the Department of Public Works and Transportation. We did a second set of turnout gear for the volunteer firefighters who have the highest response rates across Baltimore County. We expanded county rides hours and to Saturdays. And we put forward significant additions in terms of teachers, counselors, and other school support staff, including over, I believe, 40 ESOL teachers, because we're seeing an explosion of that population here in Baltimore County. But that's the people investment that we're talking about, that small sliver. And we'll have a similar constraints in terms of what we're facing this year. And just for your awareness, one of the things I'm pretty clear-eyed about is I want to really prioritize trying to invest in our people. And so we were just under half of the salaries. I want to try to even grow that more if we can this year. I really want to recognize and lift up the folks who are doing really incredible work in Baltimore County. Education, as I mentioned, is more than half of our budget. It's our single largest expense, $2.3 billion this year. A maintenance of effort increase of over $70 million. Maintenance of effort is the standard by which counties are judged to say you have to spend at least this much more every year. Under state law, we exceeded that by $70 million based on enrollment here in Baltimore County for an over $90 million total increase in our school spending. We are very proud that we are moving from teacher salaries that were middle of the pack to among the higher paid in the state. We funded a mid-year deal last year that put additional funding towards our educators and hard-working support professionals, even as we funded those additional positions, over 300 positions over the past 40 years. We know that we have to do more to recruit and retain our educators, and so we look forward to continuing to make additional investments in them as well. What we have committed to BCPS, who recently adopted their budget last night, was as a floor, for the next 4 years, I said that in addition to the historic increase in maintenance of effort this year, and in addition to the blueprint for Maryland funding that will be flowing to the jurisdiction, even though Baltimore County is not required to under blueprint, we will do at least $10 million more every year for the next 4 years, above and beyond the maintenance of effort that's required from our school system. And that's despite the fact that we've lost 4,000 students. It's been a hard road with the pandemic, and so we're hopeful that those students will return, but we've sustained those investments even as we've seen the enrollment decline. We haven't forgotten about the buildings in which we learn. Obviously, this is a school that has gotten a lot of attention in this space of school construction. I'm very proud that working with our state legislators, working with our council, in partnership, we've been able to develop over a $3 billion plan called the Multi-Year Improvement Plan for all schools. We've accelerated those investments to make sure that every school across Baltimore County is touched. So part of that plan ensures that we invest in career and technology education, in STEAM education, that we provide pre-K for over 8,000 young learners, that we invest tens of millions of dollars in security investments for things like cameras and intercom systems, excuse me. And then locally, in District 6, it means we are building a like-new Towson High School. It means that we're building a new Delaney High School. It means that we're going to have new schools at Red House Run Elementary, Rossville Elementary, and Northeast Middle School with maintenance upgrades and several others. This plan across the county also invests enough dollars that we end the need to have children learning in trailers. I had the joy or the benefit of seeing what it was like to teach in a trailer, and I think for a lot of reasons, for school security purposes, but also just equity purposes and school environment, I'm really looking forward to having trailers not be needed in Baltimore County when this plan is fully implemented. We haven't forgotten that education doesn't stop at K-12, and we've invested significant dollars in partnership with our community college. Not only have we frozen in-county tuition for 4 years in Baltimore County for county residents, but we've also grown our free College Promise program for our youngest learners by almost tenfold, going from about 100 students in our first year to almost 1,000 in this year's current budget. We also listened to many of you, and one of the other beneficial things that we heard was that folks wanted to have bulk trash brought back. And I'm proud to report that in our first year of implementing bulk trash pickup, we have collected almost 2,000 tons of trash from almost 70,000 Baltimore County homes. We've ramped up code enforcement, listening to all of you. We've hired more code enforcement officers. We're now beginning to do proactive sweeps instead of just doing reactive responses for service. And we've implemented escalated penalties for those who have repeat offenses of code violations. We put forward over $80 million for record funding for road resurfacing and traffic calming. There's never enough to go around, so we want to keep working with you to continue those investments across District 6 and the rest of the county. And we've expanded transit. Towson is now home to Baltimore County's first fixed route transit service, the Towson Loop. It's been a really great program. I think, Director Walker, we've exceeded 70,000 riders to date, even though we launched this in the middle of a pandemic. We think that there are opportunities for expansion of this type of service across Baltimore County, but we were proud to launch it first here in District 6. We have not forgotten our seniors, who make up about 25% of our total population. Everything from age-friendly Baltimore County to the Because program, which goes in and helps seniors age in place in partnership with the Weinberg Foundation. We've put forward millions of dollars to improve senior centers across the county, including improving handicap parking at Parkville Senior Center. Also, if you haven't been a part of it, No Senior Eats Alone Day is a really special experience to have a chance to just share a meal with the seniors. One of my favorite days of the year. In District 6, significant investments all the way from Towson to Parkville, over $270 million of water infrastructure projects, some big ones with gunpowder and Towson pumping stations, Lock Raven Boulevard's water main. We are constructing a new access park bridge for Double Rock, and we're making improvements to 6 bridges, the east-west trail, the northeast trail, from Hazelwood to Rossville. All of these things are at various stages, but investments have been put forward for all of them. As I mentioned earlier, we're also proud to be a county that invests in the men and women in uniform, that invests in public safety. Just the last 2 years, we've grown our funding for public safety by almost $30 million. Last year, because of the hard work of the men and women of the Baltimore County Police Department, we saw a 36% reduction in homicides, and we have a clearance rate that remains significantly above the national average. These individuals work hard, they do a great job, and we are proud to support those investments. In addition to investing in the police department and in the fire department, though, we also believe in upstream investments. We believe in holistic approaches to keeping our community safe. We know from the data from BC Stat, for example, that almost half of our incidents and our homicides in the past 2 years have been either domestic violence related or have had a mental health component. And so we take that data to help drive our investment. It's why we've expanded our mobile crisis team by 50%. It's why we've put a mental health clinician in our 911 call center to take those calls and help direct them to the most appropriate place moving forward. And we look forward to continuing to make those investments, not only in things like mental health and combating domestic violence and intimate partner violence, but we also know that things like recreation parks and summer youth jobs and economic mobility and opportunities really makes a big difference too. I want to tackle the thing that's been in the news lately, the concerns here in Towson. I first want to say what's happened is real, and we take it very seriously. I don't think it's reflective of this community. I don't think it's reflective of Baltimore County. I don't think it's acceptable, and I know it's not acceptable to any of you. So recently, last week, I convened with Councilman Ertel, Chief Delp, members of the business community, several residents. We not only had a conversation, but we also then walked the streets together, and we, I think, came together with a really responsible and thoughtful path forward. So we have both immediate steps and we have longer term steps that we're taking together. Not only has the police department expanded patrols, including foot patrols, we're exploring potential additional bike patrols. We are bringing in additional license plate readers to the Towson precinct. We are increasing, and I see Nancy Hafford, thank you for your partnership and for hosting us. We're in the process of providing a grant to further outfit even more cameras in those places that aren't currently seen, like some of the alleys behind our businesses. We're also in the process of bringing on private security to further bolster the manpower of our police department. I believe we're in the final process of trying to work out the details of that agreement. We're also looking at immediate steps. We put up additional police cameras. We're looking for opportunities for immediate lighting impact, even as we have longer conversations around things like graffiti and trash and some of the other things that were brought to light through the conversation. And I'll just add, if you have additional thoughts tonight, we want to hear them, because this really takes the community to address it, and I think together we're going to. I mentioned rec as an upstream investment. We're very proud. Director Smith has told us that our administration has put as much money in recreation and parks as they can remember in any recent memory. Just this year alone, over $45 million in investments across the county. So Forge Park is having a court renovation. There's $3 million to enhance and renovate Holt Park. There's over $3 million going towards a new Hazelwood skate park, which should be opening late summer, early fall. Double Rock Park is getting renovated, so just really excited about the investments we're making in recreation parks. Part of that investment are 2 new recreation activity centers in District 6. One is going to be at Middle River at Glenmar Elementary School. It's an aeronautics themed program with a nod towards the history of that community. And another is going to be at Rosedale at McCormick Elementary School with a focus on esports and trying to engage young people in a different way who might not historically be involved in that work. Again, thank you, Delegate Jackson, for your leadership and partnership to help make these investments possible. Working with Councilman Ertel and the council, we've also, I mentioned Operation Retreat earlier as one of the investments we made. We also brought back glass recycling, which I learned early in my term was stopped at some point prior, I believe back in 2013. We are recycling glass, we are capturing methane in our landfill, we're putting solar panels in our landfill, and one of the leaders on the Bring Your Own Bag was your councilman. I was staggering to learn that there are over 1 million bags a day, over 350 million bags, single-use plastic bags a year across Baltimore County that are ending up in our trees, on our waterways, clogging our recycling facility. And so thank you, Councilman, for your work and leadership on that. So that's where we've been. As I think about sort of the future for Baltimore County, I've put forward a couple of key priorities that I'm pursuing in addition to working with you all. One is around housing. And we recently passed 3, I think, really important pieces of legislation on housing. One establishes a Housing Opportunities Fund, where we plan to put $16 million of recovery to stabilize and strengthen housing opportunities across Baltimore County. The second created a definition for the first time in Baltimore County's history, which is kind of staggering, of what a vacant structure is. That will allow our teams to better go into those homes and take action, but also create opportunities for homeownership. The last piece of legislation that passed is townhome construction policy, adjusting for widths to allow for more opportunities, again, for that attainable type of housing across Baltimore County. I want to thank, again, Councilman Ertel for his partnership on those. The fourth bill that's still pending with the council deals with allowing more family members the opportunity to live together. Director Riley did a great job, I think, of talking about how, in many ways, this is a great age-in-place piece of legislation. So, looking forward to working with the council in the weeks ahead to hopefully finalize that last bill. In addition to housing, we can house people, but I think the best way to keep someone housed and the best way to create opportunity is to give someone a good quality job. And so workforce is another priority for us. We recently launched a partnership here in Towson with the University of Maryland Medical System, St. Joe, to do a workforce public health pathways program. This program will take any county resident, but we're also targeting some of our most socially vulnerable residents to take individuals and give them the opportunity to go from having no certification to, within 4 months, being an LPN, and within 2 years, being a CNA in 4 months, and then moving in 2 years to being an LPN. So a fully licensed nurse within 2 years, but we're doing the wraparound services too. We're not forgetting that someone can just have their class paid for and expect them to thrive. We are also providing a stipend to think about things like childcare or transportation or to assist with housing. The beautiful thing about this program is that they're guaranteed a job. It's in a high demand field. And so we're very proud of this. We think it's replicable in other places. And we think it's an investment that's worthwhile and that's actually being supported equally by the hospital system because they see the value in it. This program has been recognized by the Maryland House of Delegates has had us present on it, the White House has had us come in, the National Association of Counties. I think it really can be a transformative approach for how we put people to work and support them long term. The last priority, which I hope to hear a lot about from you all tonight, is capital projects. We have a lot of schools that need to be built or rebuilt. We have police precincts and fire stations and rec facilities and senior centers and sidewalks and roads. So we're really honing in on those capital priorities to make sure that we are delivering for all communities across Baltimore County. I mentioned earlier the water and wastewater. Just today I was in Annapolis testifying on a task force that will reimagine and re-envision this agreement. It's actually older than the mayor and myself. It's a decade older than I am. We don't do things, we don't use the same technology we used back in 1972. We don't operate the same way we did back in 1972. This is an agreement that hasn't been touched in over 50 years. So looking forward to working with the legislature to really update not only the delivery of service, billing, capital planning, but also the governance structure to make sure that Baltimore County residents are equally or more appropriately represented through the governance process. So, budget process, we're conducting our town halls through the end of this month. On April 13th, I'll be before Councilman Ertel and his colleagues to submit the budget. They will then review in April and May, and they must approve it before the end of May, although oftentimes the council may do it earlier in the month. So before we turn the floor over, and I invite Councilman Ertel up to sit with me, we're going to do a quick live poll. This is something we've experimented with in other town halls. It's been kind of fun. So if you have your phone and can scan and take a picture of the QR code, that's great. And if you can't, Brenda and other members of the OCE team are coming around to pass out pieces of paper where you can scan. I think we've got like just 4 or 5 questions tonight, and then we will open the floor up to all of you following that poll. So once you have that code scanned, the first question is pretty simple. How many town halls have you attended since 2019? Is this your first? Is this your first town hall, or have you been to all 5? Second, 5th? Looks like a pretty good spread, Councilman. A lot of newbies, though. If this is your first town hall, can you just raise your hand for me? Can we give a round of applause for our new people who are joining us? Right. We'll give that one more second. Wow, great first term attendance. Who are my 5-timers? All right, thank you for coming back and being present. Okay, yes. Okay, next question. When it comes to core needs of the county, I would say Baltimore County is investing too little, just about the right amount, or too much. And don't worry, on this and all questions, you are anonymous, so we want to hear your honest feedback. Okay, let's turn to the next question. Okay, my top 3 budget priorities are, and I'll read off as you guys are answering. You can answer up to 3. School capital and school operating, rec facilities, green space and ag preservation, road resurfacing, pedestrian safety, infrastructure, public safety, housing and community development, workforce development. Looks like public safety is edging out school capital and operating. Oh, making a run for it. Okay. Last one. I mentioned 311 as a service we set up in Baltimore County. I'm just curious how many here have actually used 311. So hopefully for the 75% of you who haven't, if you have a need for it, you can call 311. We also have Baltco Go as a social media, or as an app on your phone you can also use. Okay, cool. I'm going to thank everybody for your participation in that. That's fun for me. Councilman, if you have anything to share, otherwise we can turn things over to Brenda or Amanda and the OCE team. We'll start taking feedback.
see you all have moved towards the mics. So real quick before we get started, we just want to let you know, as you come up to this evening, we have the mics placed right here. We do ask that you keep to your allotted 2 minutes. We have a timer located here in the front of the auditorium. That timer will buzz, and then we ask that you please conclude your budget priority at that time. If you are here with a group tonight, we do ask that you have one representative from your group share the budget-related priority. If you have anything specific you'd like to add in addition to that, you may do so. And then really quick, I wanted to acknowledge Delegate Michelle Guyton's staff is here tonight, and as well as Delegate Kathy Forbes. Sorry we missed you in the beginning, so thank you all for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Dr. Carol Newell. The Green Towson Alliance was founded 8 years ago to bring together environmental activists from all the neighborhoods in the Towson area. Our early concerns were sewage overflows into local rivers during rainstorm events, planting and protecting shade trees, and cleaning our streams of trash. Leaders from more than 30 neighborhoods have joined in. Over 1,000 people participate every year in our tree plantings and stream cleanups, and we have a broad reach on social media. Our volunteer work has expanded to include advocating for implementation of environmentally conscientious zoning laws that protect us all, as well as advocating for parks and native species. Tonight, we urge the county to move quickly to protect the sanitary sewer pump stations from flooding during our increasingly frequent severe storms, with consequent overflow of untreated waste. 17 sewage pump stations are identified as being at high risk, and 26 more at medium risk in the county's report called Climate Action Plan and Resilience Assessment. While flooding of any sewage pump station can affect water quality and public health, an important example is one in Cockeysville that stands next to Beaver Dam Run, which is a stream that originates by Oregon Ridge Park and flows into Loch Raven Reservoir. This reservoir provides drinking water for most of Baltimore County and for Baltimore City. Please devote the necessary resources in the county budget to flood-proof our sanitary sewer pump stations. Begin this in the upcoming budget year to build resilience to climate change and to protect public health. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Donna Backus. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a bilingual therapist. I'm here as a West Towson neighbor, and I would like to make the following suggestions. Increase safety for all residents, businesses, and visitors. And safe, interconnected, ADA-compliant, green regional rapid transit, including rail, to promote a thriving, diverse, economic, and safe civic community. Improved funding for youth and family recreation centers with access to after school, after hours, and weekends, and transportation to them from the schools and malls, etc., with special access to PAL centers. I'd also like to discuss the idea of improved access and equity to engage in the inclusion of our new Americans, new immigrants to our beautiful county, in our communities, improved access to health care, food security, language and culturally appropriate sensitive practices, including improved housing for all, but especially our new American neighbors, so that they feel included and engaged in all aspects of civil life. And I'd like to yield a little bit of my time to my group, also the Latino Racial Justice Circle.
Good evening. My name is Gilly Weisberg, and I am 11 years old. I am in 6th grade at Hereford Middle School. One thing you should know about me is that I am interested in mushrooms and fungi. I also like nature and an interest in how organisms in the ecosystem interact with one another. The Natural History Society of Maryland, or NHSM, has helped me develop more of a passion for the natural world. A few months ago, I went to an NHSM program about fungi led by the one and only Serenella. In this 2-day program, Serenella taught me so much and helped me tremendously. On the first day, we had a 6-hour class about fungi that was really fun. It taught me about fungi that help plants and fungi that hurt plants and animals. It also taught me about Prototaxides, a prehistoric 8-meter tall fungus. On the second day, we went on a hike in the woods to practice our mushroom identifying skills. Later that evening, I tried my first shrimp of the woods, which we found on our hike. Serenella even helped me identify a 20-pound mushroom in my backyard that was edible, not to mention delicious, just by looking at a picture that I took. One of the best things about the program is that I got to interact with other people who shared my interest, even if I was the youngest person there by decades. I think it is amazing that NHSM has programs for any interest. Thank you for your past support of NHSM, and I hope that we can count on continued support of this great organization so that other people, young and old, can have the same opportunities that I had.
Thank you for sharing that. I think you might be in mine. I wouldn't be surprised, Councilman, if I see him in my seat one day, or yours. So.
Absolutely.
We were very proud to fund the Natural History Museum. We talked about PAYGO earlier. We have $1 million in the current year budget. We were proud to do that. We will certainly take a look at it again. Thank you for your testimony.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Carlos. Gracias por la oportunidad.
Good evening, my name is Carlos. Thank you for this opportunity.
En esta noche quiero darle el mensaje a usted personalmente porque sabemos que mi comunidad ha sido afectada por la pandemia.
This evening, I would like to give you a message, personal message. As we know, my community has been impacted by the pandemic.
Mi comunidad ha sido la más afectada porque han fallecido varios de los miembros de mi comunidad. Entonces no vengo yo a exigirle, vengo a pedirle que si puede abrir clínicas de salud a bajo costo.
As you know, many members of my community passed away because of the pandemic. We know that it was the most drastically impacted community with COVID. And I'm not here to demand, but I'm here to ask that you please consider opening low-cost medical services clinics for the community.
El motivo es porque nosotros pagamos impuestos y nunca nos toman en cuenta. Ustedes creen que nada más nosotros venimos a trabajar y a pagar impuestos, pero no tenemos ningún derecho de ir a un chequeo médico.
The reason I ask is because we are also taxpayers. But often you think that we're only here to work and that we don't contribute. But we contribute. But we don't have the right or the access to health care.
Por eso yo le pido y le suplico que realmente le hagan caso a mi comunidad, que no nomás venimos a trabajar. También somos personas y nos enfermamos. Y con la pandemia hemos traído muchas enfermedades que no podemos salir adelante y no nos damos el lujo de perder un día de trabajo, porque no podemos.
And so I plead with you, please consider my community. Please consider making healthcare accessible. Please know that many of us were ill and we could not take time off. We have many comorbidities that have been severely impacted and made worse because of the pandemic, because of COVID. But we don't have the luxury of being able to take a day off because we can't afford to be sick.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Anna Weisberg, resident of Rogers Ward and reading teacher for Baltimore County Public Schools. I was hired as a reading resource teacher. Instead, I am filling the hole left by a novice grade 6 reading teacher who left 3 weeks into the school year for a non-teaching job. Tonight, I am speaking with an eye towards us meeting the mandates of the blueprint for Maryland's future by funding the compressed salary scale for BCPS educators. Once, when I was able to do my job as a resource teacher, I was doing small groups in a first grade classroom. A boy walked over to me and asked quietly, "Would you teach me to read?" It was Devin's second year in first grade. I had time to do my job. I had time to do extra. I added the extra support for Devin to my schedule and supported his uncle with home practice work. Because there were enough of me, I had time to do my job, and Devin and his uncle were awesome. And Devin finished first grade with the highest reading scores in the entire grade. I left Devin knowing that he was going to be a successful student, and we, his community, would reap the benefits of his evolving awesomeness. I'm afraid, Mr. Olszewski, if we don't fund salary compression this year, we will lose the educators the Devons need. If we don't increase the salary for first-year teachers, we will fail to plan to meet the mandated 60,000 by July 2026 and plan to fail to be competitive with other systems that not only meet but exceed that figure, despite the slide in the presentation earlier. There are currently 7 other school systems that beat our first-year salary for new teachers with a master's. Please fund salary compression with a competitive salary for new teachers. Devin can't wait. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, señor Ejecutivo John del Condado de Baltimore. Gracias por permitirme estar aquí una vez más.
Good evening, County Executive John Olszewski. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here one more time.
Como usted sabe, soy la presidenta del Comité Latino de Baltimore y tenemos más de 4,000 latinos como miembros.
As you may know, I'm the president of Comité Latino, and we are 4,000 members.
Desafortunadamente, mi comunidad no viene porque tiene miedo de alzar su voz y que ellos tengan alguna represalia.
The 4,000 members of Comité Latino, many of them are afraid to come to these events. Many of them are afraid to lift their voice and express their concerns.
Es por eso que el día de hoy quisiera yo sugerirle, por favor, se lo suplico, que en el condado haya más personas bilingües en sus oficinas, por favor, donde ellos puedan ir y puedan hablar en cualquier oficina, ya sea cualquier oficina del gobierno.
And that's why I'm here today to plead, to ask you to consider having more bilingual, culturally competent staff at all of our county offices, whether it's someone going to make a payment or somebody going into an office so that they can find people that they can speak with that will treat them well.
Muchas gracias. Esa es una de las razones por las cuales yo el día de hoy estoy hablando aquí. Se lo agradezco mucho.
This is one of the reasons why I'm here today. Thank you so much.
Just for the benefit of the audience, so Juliana Valencia Banks is not only helping with some translation services tonight, she's also our Immigrant Affairs Coordinator for Baltimore County, the first ever in our county. I just want to applaud her because she has brought some of these issues, and we are actively working not only to make our staff more bilingual, but to also remember that language is one component, but also cultural competency is another component we should be thinking about in serving our diverse constituencies. So, gracias.
Good evening, County Executive Olszewski, Councilman Ertel, thank you for your time. I'm Lloyd Allen, Special Educator in Mathematics, speaking as an individual in support of funding the compressed salary scale for BCPS educators with an eye on meeting the mandates of the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. Mr. Olszewski, I began as one does as a new teacher. I worked with an experienced mentor who helped me to not drown. Even more importantly, I sat at a long table each lunch that had the continuum of teachers from novices like me to retiree hires who were still happy to share their expertise with us. We new teachers brought excitement, familiarity with new technology, and a new perspective, but we relied on the medium and long-term members of the department to keep us grounded and to learn how to reach students. Sometimes they leaned back on us when they returned to teaching calculus and needed to check their integration by parts. Mr. Olszewski, when you were a new teacher, recall who you leaned on. Who did you bounce lessons off of? Who taught you both what words to put on an IEP and how to physically type it into the system that was in use at the time? I'm afraid, Mr. Olszewski, if we don't fund salary compression this year, we will lose the veteran teachers who the fresh, excited new teachers need to lean on. Schools that are early career educator islands, where the novices are leaning exclusively on each other, do have a certain kind of energy. But without support, we will lose our fresh teachers, and that will have long-term effects. If we don't increase the salary for the first-year teachers, we will both plan to fail to meet the mandated $60,000 by July 2026, and plan to fail to be competitive with other systems that not only meet but exceed that figure. Despite the slide in your presentation, there are 7 other systems that meet our first-year salary for a new teacher with master's degree. Please fund salary compression with a competitive salary for novice teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, thank you for both of you for your persistence and your presence at these town halls. The answers are Sandy Scordalis, my social studies chair, and Wanda Fisher, my special education chair. I was lucky enough to be duly certified and to teach in both departments. But absolutely, we are committed to. We've made progress. My goal is, by the time this term is over, I want Baltimore County teachers to be the best paid in the state. That's what we're striving for. So,
Thanks, Louis.
Good evening. I'm a long-time resident of Baltimore County. I actually live in West Houston, so this is my district. Councilman, actually our daughters went to preschool together, and I sat in a Dumbarton classroom with you in back-to-school nights, and they graduated together. And why am I saying that? Is because I have been around. You may not have noticed me, and much like myself, there's a lot of immigrants in the district that you might have not noticed, but we're around. It's just that we go to work, we go home, and then we do it again the next day. So I think because you don't see us in a lot of language access is not a priority, so I would like to request that when you budget for next year, that language access is a priority for you. It's wonderful that you have Juliana. I'm really thankful you have made great progress, but it's only Juliana for the whole entire district, so for the whole entire county. So I think that you need to budget, especially for the schools, especially since next school year, the ESOL students will not be housed in specific schools. You are planning to send them to their district, to their home schools. I think 40 ESOL teachers will not be enough. It'll bring an extra burden to the schools. So please consider giving extra support to the schools that are going to be housing a lot of the students that don't speak English. And that's, so language access, please, your number one priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cindy Sexton, Chapter President, I know you're listening because you used my words, recruiting and retaining educators, right? It's been my message since day one. We can't appropriately and effectively meet the needs of our students when we don't have the staff, and we don't have enough staff. BCPS has made strides, but we're still 9th in the state for career earnings for our educators. And I'm going to keep it short. Our students are our priority. We have to do all we can, and that's not going to happen if we don't have the teachers in the classrooms with them. So please fund our salary compression. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Kim Dulay. I'm a resident of Rogers Forge. My focus includes a 3-year effort to create safe walking access to Lake Rowan Park for Baltimore County residents who live on the east side of the park in proximity to the public entrance on Woodburg Lane. Though thousands live within walking distance to this public park entrance, they are unable to safely do so due to the current conditions of Charles Street. I have two goals. One is to create a safe crosswalk at Stevenson and Charles, and the second is to construct sidewalks on the west side of Charles between Stevenson and Woodbrook. This improved walkability initiative is in support of improved public health, the environment, and equity access to our public amenities. Support to date includes the Rogers Forge Community Association, the Rexton Riderwood Lakewood Community Association, the Baltimore County Planning Board, Councilman Ertel, and Delegate Forbes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just so that I'm taking notes, but I don't want to miss it. So Director DeAndrea Walker is here with her deputy. I don't know if this is a Lauren thing or a Tony Russell thing. Deputy Director Russell, Deputy Director Buckler. If you could just make sure they have the exact information so we can have that and do some follow-up. Thank you.
Good evening, County Executive Olszewski, Councilman Ertel, and all of you here from District 6. My name is Kara T. Beverly, and I'm an attorney and sexual misconduct investigator at a local university. I'm a Towson resident, and I'm proud to serve on the Baltimore County Commission for Women. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. In 2021, Baltimore County experienced over 3,000 intimate partner violence calls for help. 3,000 incidents of child abuse, 1,000 sexual assaults, and 10 intimate partner homicides, violence homicides. And unfortunately, Baltimore County had the distinction of being ranked number 2 in reported child sex trafficking in the state of Maryland. Families and individuals experiencing trauma from domestic violence and sexual abuse, primarily women and children, but of course certainly men as well, often need to take certain actions or seek out a number of resources that are time sensitive, including undergoing medical exams, filing police reports, engaging legal representation and navigating the court system, identifying case management and counseling services, and finding adequate shelter, food, and clothing for themselves and their children, all of which are currently siloed services spread across the county. The Baltimore County Commission for Women is asking for county leadership to bring together all affected providers representing the various services I just mentioned to reimagine a delivery system for those vital resources and to invest in the solutions so that victims of trauma are able to efficiently access them in their most vulnerable moments. We believe that if you do so, it will result in a roadmap to resiliency and restorative justice in Baltimore County and serve as a shining example of common sense collaboration in the state. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I apologize. I see Ms. Christina Pumphrey, who's a Board of Education member, who's also in attendance tonight. I just want to make sure I recognize you, Christina. Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Davis, and I'm the president of the Overlea Community Association. Thank you so much for having this town hall. Overlea, if you're not familiar, is a historic neighborhood full of young families. We're a vibrant, diverse, peaceful, and growing community that the county has recognized on several occasions. We are home to the Natural History Society of Maryland, which the young man that spoke over here learned to have a passion for fungus, which is so cool. It's a true gem in the state of Maryland. We are home to the Overlea Arts Fest, an annual holiday tree lighting, a community-run compost program, and thanks to Baltimore County's CRAG grant, we've grown our popular volunteer-run farmers market heading into our 8th season. So young families come up to our community table at every farmers market and tell us that they've moved here because of the resources that our volunteers are painstakingly putting together. We have a historic bus turnaround that provides access to the city via Bel Air Road with bus stops from the 695 exit all the way to Northern Parkway. Folks are buying homes in our neighborhoods. They're raising families here. We have affordable, quality housing, and we have decent schools. Overlea's #1 priority is Bel Air Road. The Bel Air Road Route 1 project from the Beltway to the city line was initially presented in 2009. A technical assistance panel report was done in 2011 by the Urban Land Institute for this road. It got started, it went through the design and land acquisition, but it was never implemented. Last year, the state of Maryland asked for federal funding to complete this project, and Baltimore County graciously promised $7 million. We did not receive that funding, as you know. Bel Air Road is still a problem. It's as much of a problem now as it was in 2009. We need your help to get this road done. We need traffic calming. We have no ADA compliant sidewalks. We need streetscaping, we need drainage of rainwater and upgraded crosswalks. To recap, is that money still in the budget for us? And if so, what are our next steps?
So I'm going to defer to DPWT. My understanding is that I think we committed to finding it if we had partners at the state and federal level to make the whole project possible. I don't know that it was actually sort of budgeted for. So I just want to be sort of clear-eyed that like we want to make this project go, and we are committed to finding and moving projects. But it is a large project. We need to have, not to put my friend on the spot here, but we need to have the state and the administration and the legislature and our friends in Congress be a part of this. But we're fully committed. So Lauren, do you want to just make sure I'm not saying anything out of it's incorrect?
Mr. County Executive, you're completely correct. You've paid attention to DPWT.
But we want to make you. Please stay engaged with Lauren and the team, because we want to keep finding solutions. We really want to get this done.
And Melissa, I would say, we have these beautiful neighborhoods along Bel Air Road, Overly Fullerton, and Bel Air Road is the sore thumb that's sticking out that is not giving us the vibrancy we need there, and we've got to all work together to get this done. So we know.
Hi, my name is Jessie Yeager. I'm here tonight to speak about our schools and the crisis of overcrowding. While this is a county-wide issue, my focus is on the central area, more specifically Hampton Elementary. I'm a parent of students in Hampton. I also have the privilege of working there. Our overcrowding is beyond crisis status. Our state-rated capacity is 670, yet today we have 815 students. That is 122% capacity. Many of our problems stem from the fact that Baltimore County and BCPS together consistently fail at counting and predicting student enrollment. We have far surpassed projections for 2031, and based on the projections of last year compared to real life, we will most likely reach 900 students next school year for an elementary school that was originally built for 300. In 2020, the AFPO task force found that Baltimore County has some of the state's least effective rules for managing the speed of new development. Yet county officials failed to act on their recommendations, so the number of classrooms cannot keep up with the pace of new home building. Exemptions and loopholes allow developers to escape impact fees that would support our classrooms. We now have a developer seeking to build 400 housing units, and they're able to claim that no children will be living there, and they're able to escape fees claiming transit-oriented development. But when we know that children will occupy these places, and when they start signing up, all BCPS is willing to do is more and more boundary studies, which are incredibly disruptive. Please change how you count and predict student enrollment. Listen to the people who are actually living it and see the people instead of numbers. Thank you. Oh, and thank you for the basketball courts. I got to take my kids out for extra recess and it was amazing.
I just want to, as you're continuing your work in advocacy, Dr. Jennifer Lynch is my Director of Educational Partnerships. And I don't know if Dr. McComas is here from the school system to answer any questions you might have as well. So, Dr. McComas. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, County Executive and Mike Ertel. Thank you for having this. Councilman now, I forgot. I've been calling you Mike for years. I'm here really to ask the community for help. February was a very challenging month in our community, and I want to thank our wonderful police department. We depend on you so very much. Our detectives, they couldn't be any better. Our businesses work with our police to make sure that when people come to Towson and Baltimore County, that they're safe. They're our family, and we care about them. Over 90% of our businesses have surveillance cameras, and of the egregious crimes that just happened, I think 2 of them were it was very helpful having the surveillance cameras, and it helped solve it. And County Executive, I want to thank you for your commitment to helping us add more so that there's eyes all over the street. But what I'm asking for all of you to do is please don't get caught up in the negative press. Please don't get caught up in the negative social media. We need you to be a positive voice for Towson and Baltimore County, because that's what sets us apart. We work together, we don't point fingers, and we're a great place to live, work, and play. Thank you all very much.
My name is Barbara Waters, and I live in District 6000. As somebody who is an avid walker, is on the Stewardship Committee of Neighbor Space, and a member of Green Towson Alliance, I would like to advocate that funds be included in the budget for more green space and tree planting. While there are a number of pocket parks in the district, there is not a lot of contiguous green space if you do not have a car to access Oregon Ridge and Cromwell Valley Parks, for instance. For that reason, most of my walking is done in Towson neighborhoods, many of which lack sidewalks or have sidewalks in poor conditions. The benefits of walking and being in nature are numerous and supported by science. We need to encourage it more and need safe, accessible green spaces for that. In just over a week, I will have been walking daily for 3 years and covered over 6,300 miles in that time. And yet the majority of it has been on asphalt and concrete. That is why it's so important for me that funding be included in the budget for an increase in green space. Thank you.
Do I turn it on? Hi, I'm Gail Robinson. This is my husband, John Bowers. I'm here to speak on some remaining issues in the Herring Run watershed. So the stream that runs right by our house, this is our house, 812 Stevenson Lane, takes runoff from all the way, the stream is above ground all the way up to Edgeworth, and the new rateable power cord goes underground. But this collects runoff from the Towson High area, from all of Wiltondale, and in the past 10 years, with the exponential growth of Towson, the volume of the stream has really become unmanageable. The red circles are 8 houses that the county has purchased. 6 of them at the bottom of Worthington Road and these 3 on Stevenson Lane have all been purchased by the county and leveled. These 2 had flooding issues and their driveway bridge was eroded, have been purchased by the county but not yet leveled. We're asking the county to purchase our house. We're the last man standing. For years we survived with hiring a natural resource person to build us a wall of core logs and natural plantings, live stakes. Every time there was a storm, it would get washed away. This is a picture of the Sixth Bridge Trail. This footbridge right here. This is looking from our porch. This footbridge here, this is it on July 11th, 2019. This is the flooding at the back of what used to be 810 Stevenson Lane. So this is a problem that will need to be resolved if the Sixth Bridge Trail is put into place for the safety of the residents. This is a picture of the stream next to our house. This brick wall is our driveway wall. Our car is just on the other side of this wall here and this wall here. This is when the stream gets so high that it can't fit under the Stevenson Lane culvert. This is the culvert, and the stream goes on to the golf course on the other side of Stevenson Lane. The stream backs up, and that causes the flooding. The wall of core logs that I showed you earlier, it would require regular maintenance and upkeep. The last time we repaired it was in 2021 in April. 6 weeks later, there was a big storm and it completely washed away. Thousands of dollars. We got an engineer's opinion that said that essentially repair of the stream bank would cost more than the value of the house.
Thank you for that perspective. I was recently made aware, I believe Samir Sid, who's our Deputy Administrative Officer for Economic Development and Infrastructure, is recently assigned to this task. So if you haven't connected with Samir, please do so tonight. But I appreciate the perspective and now having some pictures and some context when we have the conversation. So thank you.
Thank Brenda for guiding us here, and also for County Attorney James Benjamin, who was incredibly responsive and supportive of us.
Thank you.
Can we thank your husband? He did a great job on those pictures.
Good evening. I'm Dave Trusella. I'm a resident of District 6, retired CCDC professor. I would say that because so many teachers are here tonight. Baltimore County Coalition of the Maryland Lynching Memorial Project, a volunteer organization, is proposing a Truth and Reconciliation Park on Bosley Avenue between Bosley and Baltimore Avenue in Towson. In 1885, 15-year-old Howard Cooper, an African-American resident of Towson, was convicted of assault and rape by an all-white jury that had deliberated for less than a minute. Before his attorneys could file an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, a mob stormed the old Towson jail and lynched him. 2 years ago, our coalition, in collaboration with the county and the Equal Justice Initiative, organized the installation and dedication of a historical marker at the site. Dignitaries in attendance on the unveiling included former Governor Larry Hogan and County Executive John Olszewski, Jr. Our coalition continues to appreciate the support the county executive expressed that day for the idea of the park. Coalition, along with participating civic and faith organizations and community associations, has the capacity to organize fundraising campaigns and educational efforts, to participate in the design process, to involve county residents, young and old, in the work to create the park, maintain its grounds, hold community activities. The Truth and Reconciliation Park will inspire learning, reflection, and promote healthy interactions for social equity among Baltimore County residents. And thank you so much.
Thank you. On that work and for anything park related, I believe we have both, for this specifically, Savitra Brown is our Chief of Diversity and Inclusion in Baltimore County, and we also have Bob Smith, I think, in his team from Recreation and Parks, who would be a partner. If you stand up, Director Smith, so people can see you. Thank you. And then Savitra's open. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Hello, my name is Michelle Landrum-Trice, and I live a couple blocks from here. I speak tonight in support of greater funding for policing in downtown Towson. Fortunately, the violent crimes of the past 3 to 4 weeks are nominally, but they are so disturbing. I feel terrible for the victims, terrible for the businesses, and really dismayed for the community, because this sort of violence really tears at the fabric of the community. I've raised 2 sons, and their first jobs were working in downtown Towson, right near that circle. And when I think about that now, they're in college, but when I think about that now, I think, would I have allowed them to walk to and from their jobs? No. So I feel like we are really losing out on an opportunity to go to feet on the street, to have our children have jobs, to walk in safety. So I urge you to fund the police properly and to get control of the situation. Thank you.
I don't know if I see the chief, but I see, Chief Delp, I don't know if you or Cap or anybody else want to just sort of give any remarks sort of about the work that you all are doing.
Just like to say that in partnership with the county executive, obviously, we have full support of the county, and we're doing everything we can to increase foot patrols, increase other activities, and joining with the sheriff's office and other departments to help out, and from crime prevention to environmental design, working with lighting, technology, surveillance cameras. We're coming at it from all angles to make sure that we are appropriately dealing with it, and the perception of public safety is paramount to people coming out and utilizing Towson. So we're definitely taking it very serious, and we will continue to work forward with it.
Good evening, my name is Bev Bickle. I live in the Noble Donnybrook neighborhood. I teach at UMBC. And I'm here speaking on behalf of Nancy Goldring, who is the president of the Historic East Towson Improvement Association. She had to leave to teach a class at Towson tonight. I'm here to talk about the initiative that Nancy's leading called Mapping the Road to Freedom. And it's designed to create a bicycle and pedestrian walkway and riding way from Hampton Plantation to historic East Towson, stopping at 13 historic sites in the Towson area, including the Howard Cooper Memorial. And we're partnering already with the Hampton National Historic Site, and we're in conversations with Goucher. And this pathway, this trail, would be a source of education. It would pay attention to green space, so that it would make some environmental contributions. We're working with the East Coast Greenway to have it connect to other walking and biking trails, including over to Lake Roland, as was mentioned before. And we are planning to have QR codes. We're going to have digital presence for the various sites, and it will be full of public art. So we're really planning to have this trail be something that creates a space for the diverse populations in Baltimore County, especially in this area, to come together, to enjoy, to learn, and to build a more inclusive and equitable community. Thank you very much. Thank you for these very important topics.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dawn Spivey. I am a resident of Parkville, and I'm sure that the district councilman and previous councilwoman are very familiar with me. They know my address. Executive Olszewski, I spoke to your father, told him he can come right down the street. My concerns for these older neighborhoods, again, is infrastructure. We have sidewalks that are deteriorating, we have roads. Everything has a life cycle. Before coming in the public service, I worked in life cycle. I have residents who lived on my street for more than 40 years, and my road has never been paved. I've lived there for 22. So that says something. And I've come to the conclusion that the main reason is because it is the city-county line, and no one wants to take responsibility. Yet, county, as well as the few city residents, we do pay our taxes. We do deserve to have that. My other concern, and this is personally, is public service. I am a retired police officer who proudly served the residents here in Towson. So when I hear Rogers Forge, I hear Stoneleigh, I hear going out west to Falls Road, I understand the concerns. I also know the buildup that has happened while I was on the road. It was not like it is today. So you have the buildup.
Kurt, you can take one of ours, and the councilman and I can share.
Again, it's for public safety. Officers on the street, we do our very best. We come in every day, regardless of how we feel, what's going on personally in our lives. And we do it because that's what our heart is, or we wouldn't be doing it at all. So, with the buildup at Towson, I worry for our new officers who are on the street. We have lost a lot of senior officers. So my concern, County Executive Olszewski, is how are we going to keep new officers and hire officers and keep it at the level that we expected and that the residents of Baltimore County deserve. and as well as keep our security officers safe. Talk about secondary officers, that's great, they're a presence, but when it hits the ground, who's going to back those officers up?
Thank you for your service. Just two quick observations. One is that we're very proud that in that sort of spirit of transparency and data-driven governance, that the Department of Public Works and Transportation is actively working to build out what's called a paver program. So in the year ahead, we're actually going to start scoring all of our roads across Baltimore County to be more equitable about actually addressing those roads and needs and helping that inform some of our spending. There's never enough money, but we don't want to leave any community behind. As it relates to the department, we are actively in negotiations with all of our union organizations currently. But as I said before, this is a budget that I want to invest in our people, in both the school system and general government. About half of the funding goes to both sides. I think it's both a salary thing for men and women who choose to serve in law enforcement, but it's equipment, it's training, it's the precincts in which they serve. It's whether or not they have, looking at even things like take-home vehicles. All of these things matter, in addition to even things like benefits, and we're also taking a holistic view. This is a little bit in the weeds, but there's a 2007 split in things like healthcare. And that really impacts decisions that not just police officers make about where they go, but also other employees. So we're taking a holistic view about how we can be a welcoming, supportive environment for all of our employees. Unfortunately, the challenges of getting good people to get into law enforcement is not unique to Baltimore County. We're seeing it across the state, across the country. It is a very difficult profession, and we're lucky that we have people who are still stepping up to do it. So, thank you.
Good. Yeah, my name is Dave Riley from the Nola community in Towson. First of all, I'd like to thank the county executive for his ongoing efforts in public safety. It's certainly a complicated and hard issue. I would like to reaffirm what Nancy Hafford said, that the recent crimes in Towson have presented an unfair portrait of the safety of Towson and our quality of life here. And I encourage everybody to go and support our small businesses in downtown and be responsible on social media, because it's really our responsibility on how our community is viewed. And then next is, in respect to your successful efforts of transparency, what I would like to look at is is there a disconnect between what the district attorney's office is asking for sentencing and what is actually coming out of the judges? Is that something that the community needs to know? Is there a disconnect? Is the district attorney asking for a 2-year sentence and then he's getting basically 6 months or 30 days or less? These are a study that needs to be done, or a citizens commission needs to be set up to find out, is that the disconnect that's causing the crime? And then finally, I have to say, I agree with you that the police shortage that we're having now is not a reflection on anybody's management in Baltimore County. It's a nationwide trend that you're now competing with communities all over the country that are being forced to rebuild decimated police communities mainly because of the police movement in 2020. A lot of cities are having to re-establish their police units, and you are now competing with that, so it's not a reflection of any type of mismanagement here. So having said that, I just want to reaffirm that please support small businesses. Don't hide with your head under the covers. You've got to go out and support your community. Stay off social media and rumor mongering. Thank you very much.
Just two quick observations on that. One is that actually, in one of the incidents that actually happened in Towson, to your point, there was a gun violation in Anne Arundel County where I believe the individual was just sentenced to a few days in jail rather than a larger sentence that they were eligible, for which they were eligible. The judge didn't impose. I'm pretty sure that the sentencing standards and something like that kind of transparency would have to come from state law, as the courts are a state instrument. So that might be a conversation we can have to the local delegation of Annapolis to see if there's interest in having further conversations. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Peter Forrest, and I'm here tonight to advocate for more disc golf courses in Baltimore County. There are two properties that I would love to see disc golf come to, one being Days Cove, which I know there's a $250,000 allotment to develop that property, and another one would be Mount Vista Park, which, as probably most of you know, was a retired municipal golf course and would be like a perfect retrofit for disc golf. I'm sure there's other sport activities and playgrounds that are going in there, but the beauty of disc golf is it can be retrofitted to kind of work around other sport activities and ball fields. Yeah, that's mostly it. I love disc golf. It's a great activity to get outside. Kids love it. It's free. It's a free activity to get exercise. I have, two little kids and one on the way that I would love to see them have more free outside activities that are fun and get kids exercising and away from screens. So I'm just here to advocate more disc golf for Baltimore County. We have one course in the county. I would love to see 3 courses after 2024. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is James Dyson. I grew up in Elmwood. Still live in the house I was raised in. I'm a product of Baltimore County Public Schools. A recent retiree of the school system, 46 years. I've seen firsthand the importance of our police force. I've worked with numerous SROs, various members of several precincts, as well as members of the drug and gang violence task forces. I have friends as well as family who have served in law enforcement. The idea of defunding the police is totally absurd. Every one of us in this room, or a relative of us, has called the police department in an emergency situation sometime during our lifetime. Police officers keep us safe from violent and minor crime, keeping our streets safe to walk and drive, ride bikes, enjoy outside time with our families and friends. These members of law enforcement put their lives on the line every day as they patrol our community city streets. No other agency in the United States keeps us as safe in the same way as our police departments. Defunding our police will reduce the ability of our police force to protect us, limit recruiting, reduce the number of officers out in the field, as well as drastically reducing funding for training, benefits, and budgetary cuts. Lastly, who will you call in an emergency situation? Think about that. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
I am Carol Pupa, past president of Linover Improvement Association. I was involved in 2 community plans and 2 streetscape projects in the Overlake Fullerton area because the community was concerned about vacant commercial properties that existed along the Blair Road corridor from Baltimore City Line to the Beltway. The first venture was back in the late 70s, where some improvements were made, and again in 2006 with the Overlake Fullerton Community Plan being incorporated into the 2010 Master Plan and now in the current 2020 Master Plan. And that was accomplished in 2009. Unfortunately, the 2005 streetscape project was halted due to the lack of funds and then restarted in 2014 for a short time and was halted again. Construction was originally projected to be completed in 2021, our streetscape. Now we hope to see a renewal of the project later this year. Today we still have vacant commercial properties, and we need Baltimore County to promote commercial revitalization of downtown Overlake, as well as opportunities along the corridor, especially the 7500 block of Blair Road, which is spelled out in the community plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I thought I saw Director Lafferty earlier tonight. I don't know if Steve, you want to talk a little bit about some of the work we're trying to advance for commercial revitalization across the county.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. And if I may, just for a moment, having represented this area for 13 years in the legislature, it's great to see so many people out here and also so many friends. And good to see everybody tonight. We are working with and will continue to work with the Overly Fullerton community. They have a sustainable community plan that is due to be renewed. David Berkenthal, one of our community planners, I believe has already been in touch with some of the residents. But this is an issue that we're going to focus on in the spring when we wrap up a couple of the other community plans, and expect that that's going to be part of the master plan's overall look at what has to really take place as far as some of the retrofitting, revitalization, not only on Bel Air Road, but Hartford Road and some of the other communities. So we look forward to working with the community leaders. I know a number of them are here tonight. And we look forward then to seeing what we can do to hopefully sort of renew the effort that was already undertaken and discussed earlier as far as funding of some of the strategies on Bel Air Road.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Buttons. Good to see both of you. Mike, congratulations on your first town hall. So, I'm here in two capacities, one for the Ruxton-Riderwood Lake Roland Area Improvement Association and the other, the Lake Roland Nature Council. I'm here to ask for two capital requests. One is for an improvement on Falls Road regarding patron and maintenance access, which affects individuals coming from this district that park there to access the Ridge Trail. The second is a reiteration of the earlier request of the crosswalk and sidewalk improvement at Charles Street and at Stevenson. That element was in the Ruxton-Riderwood Lake Roland Area Improvement Association 2000 plan. The newest plan, the 2020 plan, was just put forth in front of planning. The only way planning would move that plan forward to the council was to have that component reiterated again in the 2020 plan due to the importance of that safety improvement and also as a function of just dramatically increased pedestrian access occurring from this area. I would like to recognize three other departments that we work with on a regular basis. I'm thankful they put up with me. One is Deb Schindel with Property Management. They've been a tremendous asset to Lake Roland. Dave Likens, Department of Environmental Protection Services, have been tremendous. And especially Steve Lafferty and a number of planning issues that we deal with. So from a support standpoint, we're greatly appreciated. I can attest everything is being done for recruiting police. When I was sitting in a beach chair and a digital sign floated by offering signing bonuses for Baltimore County Police, I don't think they could go any further offshore to try to recruit people. So thank you for everything.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. County Executive and Mike Ertel, our councilperson. For the record, I'm Kent Devereaux. I'm the president of Goucher College here, a private nonprofit liberal arts college in Towson, and founded in 1885. Goucher has been an anchor in the Towson community for over 75 years when we outgrew the college's original location in downtown Baltimore and relocated to Towson in 1947. Today, our campus comprises 287 largely wooded acres with the academic, residential, and athletic facilities at the center occupying approximately 135 acres, surrounded by woodlands buffer around the edges. We share common fences with Eaton Wall and Towson Gate to the south, Campus Hills to the east, and are located directly across the street on Delaney Valley Road from Winthrop, Delaney Valley, and Southerly apartment complexes. Goucher College very intentionally maintains an open campus, and every day scores of residents of the aforementioned communities and many more run, hike, cycle, walk their pets, picnic, and play tennis on our property. I've met dog walkers from as far away as Pikesville, Lutherville, and Parkville who come to Goucher to walk their dogs. We also host a variety of concerts, lectures, film screenings, and summer youth camps on our campus, all at no additional charge. In fact, we like to think of our campus as a 300-acre park open to the entire Towson community. In short, we strive to be a good neighbor. However, as a small private college with 1/3 of our students coming from low-income families, we cannot bear the full cost of upgrading all of our sidewalks to be ADA compatible, trails, lighting, signage that are required today to ensure that our Towson residents and the community can continue to use our campus as a community resource safely. We hope that the council will look upon our request for supplementary funding to help us to complete a number of infrastructure enhancements that will make our campus more accessible to the entire community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Ed Stubing, and I live right here in Towson. I'm in favor of additional sustained funding for land preservation and for a decreased open space. To begin, I'd like to thank you and the County Council for the recent reinstatement of both the County Rural Legacy Program and the county's Agricultural Preservation Program. Thank you. Also, I'd like to thank you and the County Council for their contributions to the Baltimore County Land Trust Alliance that supports our local land trusts. And I have 3 specific items here. First, continue to fund the County Rural Legacy and Agricultural Preservation Programs by committing a minimum of 1% of the capital budget for preservation programs and for the local land trusts. Number 2 is to fund the environmental improvements on this preserved land. For example, to include stream buffers and invasive management. Once we've taken the land into preservation, we need to take care of it. And finally, extend the current 5-year property tax exemption for landowners by land trusts. And thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Kate Wire, a resident of Overlea, a member of the Natural History Society of Maryland, and a graduate student completing a master's in Library and Information Science. I'm completing a service learning project towards this degree at the Natural History Society as part of my Organization of Information course. The capstone project is completing an article on an overlooked part of history, one that seeks to highlight the experiences of a person who, due to the circumstances of their time, were not given their due. I'm grateful to be given access to the Natural History Society's massive collections and archives in order to complete this work. I'm also grateful for the knowledge of its director. I've decided to research Mary Banning, who is a Maryland female mycologist who, due to the sexist gatekeepers of academia, was not able to find a publisher for her groundbreaking book on Maryland's mushrooms. But I'm also just going to be working on hands-on, real skills-based, like metadata, classification systems, and contributing to their mission of providing accessible education about our natural world. This experience will carry me into the next part of my career. I'm also just, as a member, I've participated in many of their field trips, really the fossil ones. And they've connected me with a community of like-minded nature lovers and lifelong learners. Excuse me. The benefits of finding your community is just incredibly impactful on one's physical and mental health, especially after the pandemic. So please consider, increasing your funding for NHSM as they provide invaluable educational opportunities for people like me, and they provide avenues for bringing people together in a shared sense of wonder for this planet. Thanks.
Good evening, my name is Marlene Riley. I live in Towson. I work as an occupational therapist, primarily with older adults who want to continue to live in their home and community safely. First, I would like to really applaud this area for the excellence in acute and emergency healthcare systems. I think that we're extremely fortunate to have 3 major excellent hospitals, and that we know very quickly if we call 911 that we have a ready police force, fire department, and emergency medical personnel at our will. The area where I'd like to see some strength in resource development is for the loaning of medical equipment. The Maryland State Department of Aging has developed a warehouse and a system to sanitize medical equipment and has invited each county to participate. Baltimore County has not yet been able to participate due to lack of resources. I understand that there is a plan for the landfill for people to be able to donate used medical equipment, but there is no plan in order for local residents to borrow the equipment. And I feel that it crosses not only the Department of Aging, but also the Health Department and sustainability, because reusing devices such as walkers, rollers, safety equipment for people in their homes is very important. So I'd like to see some dedication of resources to explore where we might have some space and we might have some personnel to assist.
Yeah, I'm impressed how plugged in you are, because you already know about something we haven't announced at the landfill, which is impressive. If Dr. Branch or Della, if you want to just get up and wave hi, Dr. Branch and Della Leicester are our health folks, if you want to sync up with them, and then Laura Riley is our Director of Aging. So if we'd love to have you be part of the work and have conversations with our leaders about how we can partner. So.
And it is for all ages. We're an age-friendly community, not just an older adult community.
Absolutely.
Anyone can fracture an ankle or twist their knee and need a roller, or, you know. Thank you.
I've certainly been prone to that myself, so thank you, Kayla.
Good evening, and thank you for having us. My name is Caitlin Clem-Kellner, and I'm president of the Landover Improvement Association, representing over 1,400 households in Overly Fullerton. And yet again, we are here advocating for the Overly Fullerton Community Plan and Bel Air Road Streetscape. Director Lafferty, I'm gonna hold you to that meeting, because we've now advocated for this through 4 county executives, 3 county council people, multiple state elected officials, at 5 of these town halls, and countless visits during campaign season. And it's so frustrating when we're met with excuses like there's not enough money, or we have to focus on other areas in the district, or, you know, it's just really complicated. Our community has accepted those excuses with grace and patience, and quite frankly, it's now Overly Fullerton's time. We've lost an anchor business, we've had multiple accidents along Bel Air Road, we've had a pedestrian fatality, and residents are frustrated that we're not seeing revitalization in our communities. We've created a task force for White Marsh and Joppa Road. Liberty Road has an action plan, and we've modified the Perry Hall Community Plan. The same can be done for Overly Fullerton. We are requesting the county's help with meetings with not only the directors of agencies, but also with staff and our state officials, so we can work together on this. We're also asking for your support in the application for the 2024 RAISE grant. We feel that having full Baltimore County support for this could help ensure ADA accessibility all up and down Bel Air Road, which is a basic human right. So my question is this meeting gonna actually happen? Can I get a handshake on it? And, you know, or are we gonna get another year of it's complicated? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jyoti Gopran. I want to congratulate the county executive and his entire office for all the progressive policies and investments that they've made in the people and infrastructure in Baltimore County. I'm here to ask for a little bit more investment for the pets of Baltimore County. I have 2 rescue dogs and 2 rescue bunnies. They have my heart, as I'm sure everybody in this room with pets can identify with. When I adopted my second dog in 2021, I wanted to adopt locally. I searched for nearby shelters. After a complicated search, I discovered that Baltimore County had an animal shelter, but the shelter was closed at the time, was not accepting visitors. The website was old and never seemed to be updated. These are all problems, I think, related to funding. The shelter is understaffed and underfunded. In the projected 2023 budget, Baltimore County Animal Services has an operating budget of $3.3 million. This is a small increase from previous years, and I want to thank you for that. I urge you to consider a larger budget. In a quick comparison, I have all the data and all the facts, which I'm not going to rattle off here. Based on PG County's population, operating budget, and their intake of animals, comparing that to BCAS, they should have a minimum budget of at least 3.9 million. At the upper level, we have Montgomery County. Comparing the same metrics from Montgomery County, BCAS should have an operating budget of 7.1 million. Whichever way we dice it, we need a little bit more funding so we can staff the shelter better and undertake more progressive policies, not just for the animals, but as we know, the effect that animals have on people, for the people of Baltimore County as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Mark Clem. I'm a lifelong resident, District 6, lifelong resident, Linover Improvement Association. I currently serve on the board of Linover. I'm here to advocate for Fullerton Elementary School. Very pleased to see up tonight there's improvements coming for Fullerton Elementary. However, that school has not been updated since probably the 90s. It is just a school in desperate need of repair. With the opening of the new Rossville Elementary, it is a glaring difference to what's happening in Fullerton Elementary. The building is needing repair, the landscape is needing repair. It was designed as an open classroom school, still functions that way. At this point, I don't believe any of the water fountains in the building even work. The school needs improvements. The playground floods on a regular basis. Right now, with the little bit of rain we have, it's unusable. The lighting around the building is in terrible shape. We're aware that the PTA has sent a letter to the county asking for improvements. We fully support that effort. We're also aware that our state delegates have put forth a budget request for improvements of the playground and basketball court there. We would ask that the county supports that request and helps improve the entire product. The school sign out front was repaired by some of the parents. It's falling apart. The school is in desperate need of updating. We would appreciate your attention. We're glad to see it's coming, but it's probably going to need more than a Band-Aid. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's the intent of this. Dr. Lynch can get you the exact plans, or Dr. McComas, or both. That's the intention of this long-term plan, is that every school is touched. I can appreciate the open school issue. My daughter, first grader, also in an open school that was designed as such and is kind of operating as such, and it's not conducive to a 21st century education. We're trying to get to all the schools. That's the plan. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ann George, and I'm a longtime advocate for the animals and their people. I would first like to address Councilman Ertel. Congratulations. But we need to also look at the laws. As an example, Barks has a rule that if you find an animal, and most of the animals entering animal shelter in Baltimore County are stray pets, cats and dogs primarily. They have a law that if you find it, you can take it to the Maryland SPCA, you can take it to the Baltimore Humane Society. They have support in that way from those two nonprofits. In our county, you're required by law within 24 hours to take that pet to Baltimore County Animal Services out in Baltimore. And it's because of that, actually, sometimes as many as 75% of the animals that are entering there are strays. And the chance of them getting reunited with their owners out there is about 17%, as opposed to about 84% if Good Samaritans, like some of the people in here, try to walk the dog around or find out whose cat it is and get it reunited. So we have community actually, they're actually doing this. They're on social media. They're saying, I found a black dog in the house this week. It happened. And people want to get involved. But in order to do that, we have to have programs that allow that. And we have to have staff at Animal Services to do that. So I'm asking for, right now, Animal Services gets 1.57% of the Health and Human Services budget. And we need to at least double that. And we need to also form partnerships like Barks has done with community organizations that are advocates of animal safety. And I think we can do that if we all work together. And thank you for all of you who have been doing things in the community to keep our people and animals together. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Good evening. My name is Linda Davis, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Natural History Society of Maryland, as both an enthusiastic volunteer, but also as a 40-year educator in the county. If you've never visited our building in Overley on Bel Air Road, you're in for a treat. Our 9,000 square foot center is filled with natural history collections, a 6-foot shark jaw, incredible shells, dazzling minerals, a 10-foot tall grizzly bear, and fossils, dried plants, and more. If you've never joined one of our nature programs, as Gilly has, I invite you to find out what we offer. You can hunt for fossil shark's teeth, raise butterflies, forage for edible wild plants. We are a crossroads of nature geeks and curious people of all ages. When the weather warms, we'll be offering canoe trips guided by a naturalist. You can visit www.marylandnature.org to register for our programs. But the reason I'm here this evening is because Maryland is one of the few states in our country without a natural history museum. The Natural History Society of Maryland is in the process of building that museum in Overley on Bel Air Road. The county and state have offered generous financial support as we begin to plan and renovate our building, and we so appreciate that support. A natural history museum in Overley will bring economic benefits to the community, almost unimaginable, and benefits to the county and region, not to mention educational opportunities. But we can't do it without you. We have been operating through volunteer efforts for decades. Please help us make the vision of a Maryland State Natural History Museum a reality. Thank you.
Hello, I'm James Pizzaro, homeowner in Towson Manor Village, treasurer of the Towson Green Community Association, and member of Strong Towns Baltimore. I'm speaking in a strictly personal capacity today to advocate that Baltimore County prioritize the movement of people over cars. I want the county to embrace Towson's historical status as a streetcar suburb by encouraging more human-scale, pedestrian-friendly, transit-oriented, and mixed-use development. We should make it easier and more comfortable to walk, roll, bike, and catch transit on and around York Road to get to work, to run errands, and to enjoy living here. On-street parking could be removed in favor of wider sidewalks, bike racks, and dedicated biker transit lanes. We could even make downtown Towson a formal pedestrian zone to fully maximize the area's potential as the heart of the county, not just the county seat. I want the county to make it easier for residents and community associations to request traffic calming measures in our neighborhoods. We know the needs of our communities the best, and as such measures are proven, such measures are proven to reduce speeding and vehicular collisions while improving safety for pedestrians and cyclists. I want the county to further incentivize developers to build more diverse homes of all shapes, sizes, and styles with requirements for green space that create a sense of place. Homeowners should also be allowed to quickly and easily build, own, and rent out accessory dwelling units on their property. Concerns about overcrowding should be addressed by building new schools, hiring more teachers, and modernizing our public infrastructure to support more residents. I look forward to your legislative and executive leadership on these issues. Thank you for your time tonight.
Good evening, gentlemen, ladies of Baltimore County. I'm Bruce Knopf. I'm living in Lock Raven Village and have for nearly 48 years now. And Principal Nina is still here. I'm an alum of Towson High from 1961. I think she's gone. Anyway, that gives you a sense of my age, if you want to calculate. But just 2 points I want to bring before the gentleman of the county. Lock Raven Village, well, first of all, thank you so much for bolstering code enforcement. We think we needed that in our village, and it'll be a welcome thing to see that take effect. Point A, the streets in the northwest sector of Lock Raven Village somehow have been neglected for paving for decades, or whereas the other parts of the village got paved, and a community like, for example, Stoneleigh has been paved several times since we've ever had any paving in Duxbury Road, Drumwood Road, and Dellsway. So we'd appreciate it if we can get those streets paved at the earliest opportunity and finances allowing it. Secondly, we've got a situation where a crosswalk across Putty Hill Avenue between Drumwood Road and goes over from Drumwood Road to Pleasant Plains Elementary School presents a very dangerous situation, especially to pedestrians, because of the parking situation between the alley and the street does not enable the pedestrians to see what is coming up the hill, particularly on Putty Hill. And I've seen ladies with baby carriages and other pedestrians walk into the street only to have to back up because they couldn't see cars coming because of the parked cars along the north side of Putty Hill. This is extremely dangerous, and I would hope that something can be done about this before there's a terrible critical injury or a death there. The pedestrians, the motorists are also affected when they leave Drumwood. Thank you.
Hi, I'm excuse me, I get emotional. I'm Diana Kassir. I graduated from this high school and Towson University. And my mom's currently in end-stage Alzheimer's. My dad, who was the head of the Department of Public Works for many years, is 98 and in advanced dementia. I recently moved into Eagle Rock Apartments. I'm a 5-time pit bull victim. I had to witness my previous, just like this gorgeous one here, pinned under a pit bull, getting her neck crushed while she screamed and thrashed under him. That pit bull played off-leash in the public park for 8 years, belonged to a nurse. I was as close to him playing as I am to her right now many times. He was a nice dog. You hear all the time how nice pit bulls are, how everybody's pit bull's so nice. And they are nice. Most of them are very nice when they're not attacking. But the problem is, in our country, every 18 days, a human is killed by a pit bull. Every 18 days, that's our national average for the last 17 years. Pit bulls are banned in 44 countries around the world. They're banned in PG County. If you get caught with a pit bull in PG County, you can be fined $1,000 and or go to jail. The UK started on the forefront of banning of pit bulls years ago. 44 countries banned pit bulls around the world. And what the UK did was they didn't take anyone's dog away, but they demanded that all pit bulls be muzzled in public. In fact, there was a famous case where someone took their pit bull's muzzle off because they said the dog was gagging or something. They put that pit bull in pit bull jail, and it remained there for the rest of its life. So enforcement is key. I just moved into these apartments that advertise restricted breeds, but they've been bringing pit bulls in, and I'm devastated because there's 2 in my building. And I have horrible PTSD as a pit bull victim. I had to defend my own life from a pit bull that kept jumping at my throat. And he was a nice pit bull too. I've seen him since playing in a dog run, but I had a heavy metal razor scissor to fight him off with, or I'd be dead right now. My left hand's permanently damaged. I have tried to approach the owners of these apartment complexes, but they refuse to do anything about it. They advertise and suck us in, but then we have to live with the pit bulls. This is false advertising. This is in Towson on Kenilworth, and the other apartment complexes are doing the same. I'm sorry we're over. But please do something. Please do something to keep us safe. Don't let these apartment complexes do this to us. Towson's not going to be happy.
My name is Ann Snow and Boss. I coach a kids mountain bike team for kids in grades 6 to 12. We ask that the county provide a 3 to 4 mile trail for outdoor recreation in the north central part of the county. We're part of the Maryland Interscholastic Cycling League. This is my team's 5th year. It's a fall sport. We're a composite team, and we have kids from about 10 schools, from Towson High up to Hereford, along the I-83 corridor, including Dumbarton, Ridgely, Cockeysville, and others. We need a safer place to practice. Right now, we ride at Loch Raven. We put about 50 kids and coaches on a 3-mile stretch of the Fire Road, and we share that with 20 riders from the Loyola Blakefield team. The drop-off zone, which is at Loch Raven and Providence Road, is high speed and dangerous. We want a trail that we can use for our practices and something better suited to beginners. Loch Raven's hills are a little steep for beginning 6th graders. Our team has raced all over the state, so we know what other counties do. Every other county provides purpose-built trails for their mountain bike kids, and that's what we want. In the north central part, we can't go to Patapsco or Rockburn. We can't go to Little Gunpowder. It's too far for an after-school program. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like you're already connected with Director Smith, or you soon will be.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Tracy Dowling. I am a Teacher of the Year finalist from BCPS. And I want to give you a view from what it's like to be a teacher right now at BCPS. Let's talk about the bullying from administrators to teachers. What administrator looks at a teacher and tells them that it doesn't matter who stands in the front of the room, the children are smart and will do well on the tests anyway. We have horrible morale, lost productivity, and this is part of the reason why teachers are leaving the profession. Let's discuss the curriculum. Baltimore County is a huge county, and not everyone lives in $1 million home or up the 83 corridor. We cannot have cookie-cutter curriculums because our students are not cookie-cutter products. They all have different needs, and they need to be addressed. I also urge every state official in here to contact the State Board of Education and reinstate testing minimums on the high-stakes testing, MCAP, MESA, and HSA. Because if you think a 15-year-old is going to sit in front of a computer for 2 hours after you've told them, listen, you just need to sit there for your high school credit and pass, you now know why some of our scores are so low. Let's discuss pay. It's not just paying the teachers, but it's about having enough teachers. The standard number of students in a high school class should not be 33, unless it's English, which is 29. And last but not least, let's discuss safety, because I am so thankful for Officer Caroma and Officer Raleigh today, and my administration, because I sat in a classroom with a student with a loaded handgun in their backpack. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rachel Keats. I live in the Holland Hill community. Over the last few years, we've seen our neighborhood quickly declining. To combat this, we've recently started a new association. One of the projects on our list is the Holland Hill Park. We would really like to cultivate a central outdoor space where our entire community can benefit. Neighborhood parks should really reflect the community that lives there, and right now it's not. In order for this to change, we'd really like some assistance in bringing the park to a more higher standard. We've already shared photos of these areas with Delegate Jackson as well as our councilman. They have been extremely supportive to us during the start of our association. We're very thankful for that. A few of our priority requests are playground equipment added for younger children. The current equipment is only suitable for 5 to 12-year-olds. Our sidewalks, there's a path coming from an entrance step that is unfinished. It leads to literally nowhere. Enhanced lighting throughout the entire park. The current setup raises very high safety concerns, especially for children, and has proven to be a place of criminal activity, especially with the space being so far away from the Main Street view. The condition of the trash cans are not the best, always overflowing, usually tipped over. We would also love to add a few picnic tables and benches across the playground area. I personally have witnessed 3 different drug deals at that park at the same time, one being last week when I was there with my 2-year-old son, which I obviously left after that. It's getting kind of old. So we do have a contact list, a large group of local volunteers that are willing to help in any type of projects that are appropriate to do so, that might need extra hands. We are more than happy to partner with you to accomplish this goal. So I just ask that you consider us during your planning.
The willingness to partner is mutual. I think there might be some low-hanging fruit that we can work with the Department of Rec and Parks on. So if you haven't connected with Director Smith and his team, please do so. And we'll work with you and Delegate Jackson, Councilman Ertel, and others on the broader questions.
Hi, I'm Karen Becker. I'm the Secretary of Oakley Manor Civic Association. Thank you for being here and doing this tonight. Our neighborhood includes White Oak School and Oakley Elementary School. Our immediate concerns for our neighborhood is the basketball court safety and noise level at White Oak School, where the court is in a very secluded spot. We would like to see more consistent patrolling at that spot, and also the installation of a sound barrier wall between the school property and the adjacent home, which is 1923 Wildwood Avenue, which was built in 1933, many years prior to the school being there, and that homeowner receives the brunt of the noise level. Another concern is vacant properties not being maintained. There is consistently overgrowth that covers sidewalks, which are used by the children going to and from Oakley Elementary School, forcing them into the street. And more resources need to be allocated to deal with these kinds of properties. And then we want a new designated preschool playground in Oakley Elementary School, where there used to be a preschool playground. We shared the need with Councilman Marks back in 2021, and he worked with Boy Scouts who created design plans for the playground as work towards their Eagle Scout badges, even securing the necessary funding, only to be turned down by BCPS. I don't understand. Concerns that we have with adjoining neighborhoods are Joppa Road corridor from Mylander to Caring Parkway in need of revitalization, the neglect of the Welcome Inn and the Towson Inn rental properties where there's major issues, and the increase of rental property in our neighborhoods that are not properly maintained. And we would like to suggest putting a cap on the number of properties a business or individual can own in a given neighborhood, so maybe some legislation in that direction. Thank you.
Good evening. First of all, thank you both for doing this town hall. You've got a wonderful group of people who are so helpful. And thank you for all these wonderful officers who are here as well. You took a poll tonight, and I was afraid I was too slow to make the cut. So by the time I got a chance to vote, I missed it. That's my fault, not yours. I think, but again, I'm slow. A lot of the people here voted that, I think it was somewhere around 50% indicated that public safety was a huge issue. Now my concern here is directed to the county executive. I need this to be, it's a little critical, but I need it to be also constructive. So, and I'm also, God forbid, a lawyer, so by nature I'm a little critical, so forgive me. You made a number of good points, but I need to say this is my concern, which I'm putting to you. My concern as a victim of violent crime is that I kind of watched my watch in terms of, you made a number of good points, but I kind of watched how much of your presentation, at least as I judged it, was directed toward this huge issue of public safety. And at least as I heard it, based on the amount of time, as I took it, the amount of time you allocated in your presentation to public safety versus other areas, my concern is that the value that all the people here, in terms of putting their poll, that the value that they place on public safety, I don't believe, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe that was reflected in the amount of time by any close percentage that was in your presentation directed to that issue. So that's my concern that I'm telling you about. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. I mean, these are your town halls, so I welcome sort of the feedback and the exchange. And that's part of why we open it up candidly, because if there are other thoughts or things that we should be considering, we want to do that. I'll just offer or proffer that in addition to this town hall, which has to cover all of the budget things that we do, we did, as I mentioned, with President Hafford hosted Councilman Ertel and myself, some community members, some community association leaders, some business leaders, and we spent about an hour talking just about public safety in the community. It's our commitment to do quarterly updates, so if you're interested, Rebecca Young is our Deputy Administrative Officer for Public Safety, if she's still here. Dory Henry is my chief. Pete Kriskumis, Dory Henry, anybody. Pete, if you're interested in being involved in the conversation, we'll just make sure we get your information and we'll sync you up as well. So thank you, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Ray. Hi. I'm here representing the Councilman Alliance. We'd like to first thank the county executive for the Towson tree replacement program, through which over 70 new trees were planted in the Towson Central Business District. And we're very much looking forward to phases 3 and 4 of that program in the coming year. And while planting more trees is essential, GTA also asks that our existing trees on county properties be protected by funding a position in the Department of Recreation and Parks to administer a volunteer weed warrior program, like programs in Baltimore City and Montgomery County. That staff person would organize and manage volunteer efforts for habitat restoration on county property, particularly by removing invasive vines that are damaging our native trees. We also endorse efforts by NeighborSpace of Baltimore County to create enhanced community access to open space. We ask that the county government fund the development of more community open space and green open space linkages and corridors countywide. Open space connectivity will enhance community health, livability, and property values, and mitigate species loss. We would also like to thank the county executive for commissioning the Baltimore County Climate Action Plan, addressing vulnerable county assets. But we would ask that the administration expand that plan to include community-wide impacts, including homes and businesses and historic and cultural resources and so on, with following actions. Conduct a modeling analysis of areas in the county at risk of flooding and incorporate rainfall projections into the flood zone delineations. Develop green infrastructure to improve local drainage and reduce flooding, and conduct a survey of structures and parks identified as vulnerable to flooding, and initiate projects to upgrade or relocate those facilities. Thanks.
Thanks, Ray.
Good evening, County Executive Olszewski and Mike Ertel, County Councilman. My name is Charles Croft-Belder. I am Vice President of the River Improvement Association. And tonight, I want to talk about some community issues that we would like your support on. Not all of Lynn River has sidewalks, and not all of the sidewalks are ADA accessible. In a community that enjoys walking and has students walking from Fullerton Elementary School and Beverly High School, we would like the county to look into sidewalks and ADA accessible for them. The Lynn River Improvement Association is also requesting help regarding traffic calming to ensure the safety of our students This includes traffic calming on major streets such as Linhai Avenue and Sickle Avenue, or school zone signs, children at play signs on Henry Avenue and Linhai Avenue. We also had concerns with stop signs in our community. With so many children who walk to and from school, stop signs are viewed in our community as optional. Our roads are treated as NASCAR, which I can attest to. I live on Sickle Avenue, and I've told many people to slow down. Many residents have requested additional stop signs in our community and ways to call them out. Ways to call the existing stop signs out, and additional traffic patrols for Baltimore County Police. You have also received letters from the community members regarding traffic issues in our community. The Linover Improvement Association also testified in Annapolis for an LBI for improvements to Linover Park. We met with members of Parks and Recreation in 2020 and heard nothing on it. We would like to sit down with them and talk about this as soon as possible. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Chuck. We will, if you make sure you sync up with the Rec Parks team, we will absolutely make that happen.
So we just need to make a quick announcement. We do have to be out of the building at 9:15, so we're asking if you could please give lightning round comments so that way those of you that are in line can share your brief priority quickly with the county executive. We will ask that you please email the town hall email so we can get that priority to the county executive since I know your time is being cut short, but we ask for speed rounds. Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
Okay. I called your office, Mr. Olszewski, on January 31st at 9:47 a.m. and left a message. I got no call back. I called on February 6th at 9:45 and left a second message. I called a third time in February and someone answered in your office. I told her that why I was calling, and she said, "Oh, we've had several complaints about that, and I'm going to have someone call you." I said, "Great." Gave her my cell phone number, never received a call back from her. I called subsequently 2 times, left 2 messages with the same voice on the same voicemail, and never got a response back. So now I've come to the town hall, and I will deliver why I called. So I'm going to ask you, because you're the one who can speak about this. The homeless man has a red circle around him, and several cars stop to take pictures. They get out of the car to take pictures. So I think that you're familiar with this since I was told that you are. So what can we do about this?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, it's my expectation that we respond to you. If you can let me know what number you called or whatever, we're happy to look into that. So, and I'll take it from you. But
887-2450.
Okay, we'll find out what extension that was. If I can connect you, homelessness is a real problem in this district and across Baltimore County. Terry Hickey is the Director of Housing and Community Development. I will make sure that you have his name, his number, his email, and that you guys can work on this as a follow-up. I do want to be mindful of the time. Director Hickey is happy to talk to you more. I'm happy to talk to you more, but I also want to be respectful of the other folks who came out and wanted to have an opportunity to speak as well.
So someone will address this and figure it out what we're doing.
And ma'am, we've had people that, his name is Cody, this homeless person. The police have been down there, homeless outreach has been down there. My office has been dealing with this since before Christmas. He doesn't want to leave, and so you might want to talk to him, and we'll talk to you about it, but we have been on it.
good, because I have one more thing. That's great, and I'm gonna just put this with you.
Sure,
This
I'll
is
take
on
that
the
as well.
corner.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just had a very quick question relative to the Six Bridge Trail. I know you posted it on there, and I've been asking for years relative to its expansion. Many people in this room and throughout have been elected or stand by the Six Bridge Trail. There's been a feasibility study that's supposed to happen that DPW was supposed to spend $87,000 on with ARPA. ARPA fundings are going to be sunsetting, and I'm concerned,
DPW.
not just related to this, but the fact that Delegate Forbes has earmarked in this fiscal year $500,000 to have it go, and I just don't want this funds to go away, and the Six Bridge Trail, which has been promised and has been studied ad nausea, and funds have been spent forever on, to just go away.
I actually think I put closer to $400,000 in the budget, or up to that, to do the planning design, but Deputy Director Buckler, Tony, who's he's happy to give you the status update, but we are moving forward with it, so.
Hi, I'm Larry Fogelson, I'm from Neighbor Space, on the Executive Committee and Board of the Rogers Ford. I know this is not new to you, so I will cut it short in the interest of folks behind me. We are looking simply for reliable, consistent funding over a period of time so that we can build the efforts that the county has chartered us to do. So I'll leave this with you and cut it short.
Thanks.
I'll mention one other thing. The final draft land preservation parks and recreation plan is being presented and heard tomorrow at the planning board. We will have fairly extensive comments on that plan with ideas of how to improve it now and more in the future.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the partnership that we have with Neighbor Space and the work they do across Baltimore County. Thanks, Larry.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Albritton, and I'm representing Overley High School PTSA Board. Oh gosh, I lost it. I'm here to talk about the sound system in the auditorium. The soundboard died, making it of no use and resulted in no ability for school staff to hold assembly, award ceremonies, etc. No lighting abilities due to the wiring in the auditorium being outdated, so the electrical upgrades needed cannot be completed without a complete electrical overhaul. They have had to bring in rental equipment, which has created fire hazards, trying to jimmy-rig hookups for plugging in rented equipment to the existing electrical panel for current stage lighting. Regular auditorium lights have been flickering since last year when in use, creating safety hazards, so the end of the year activities in 2022 had to be done in the gymnasium.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Ertel, Delegate Jackson, and I and others have a meeting actually Monday on this very issue, so we're going to dig into it further and understand what's going on there and some possible solutions.
Okay.
So thank you for bringing it tonight as well.
I'll have Crystal send pictures and a video.
We would welcome them if you want to connect with Dr. Lynch and Dr. McComas and school board member. But thank you, Ms. Sarah. I appreciate it. Happy to.
Thank you. My name is Peter Richkus, and I live in West Towson. Thank you for your efforts towards accountability across county government, County Executive Olszewski. Since this is budgeting season, I want to make a plug for budgeting for accountability. The return on investment can be huge. Thanks for setting up the Police Accountability Board, but it needs more resources. Henry Caligari advises me that minutes will be taken and will be posted for both the members and the public. The work of the PAB is important and it deserves more administrative support. Thank you also for establishing the Office of the Inspector General. They have saved both taxpayer dollars and pointed out where improvements could be made in county processes, and all for an annual cost of a postage stamp for each resident. As you've noted in interviews, the independent legal counsel that the Blue Ribbon Commission on Ethics and Accountability recommends for the office is something that can be budgeted. Whether it's a new budget item or you borrow money from the Office of Law's outside counsel account, it's important to be done. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Vestridge, and I am a team leader of Indivisible Towson Strong Schools team. Both Indivisible Towson and Strong Schools are part of coalition partners with Baltimore County Education Justice Table. The Baltimore County Education Justice Table reviewed the BCPS operating budget and came up with, I will summarize in just 4 top points rather than reading the paragraphs. 4 points that they observed in the proposed, well now approved, school budget. 1, staffing and funding to support English language learner students with special education needs and students in need of free and reduced meals lags behind demand. We need to attract, hire, and retain an additional 150 ELL and special education professionals while placing reasonable limits on the number of IEP caseloads. 2, as Baltimore County's population has diversified over the past 10 years, BCPS has spent less per student annually once inflation is taken into account. 3, taking inflation into account, BCPS is investing less in instructional salaries in the FY24 proposed budget. And number 4, the process for evaluating the BCPS budget is less transparent with less opportunity for public input than in most other large districts in the state. Our coalition is ready to work with as many stakeholders as possible to implement a just and equitable budget that truly reflects our educational values and meets the county's evolving needs. Thank you for your time. I'll forward this to the people on the school board.
Good evening. My name is Edwin Perez. I'm a high school teacher at Parkville High School, and I live in Charleston, Maryland. I'm here to advocate for concerns facing immigrant students and their families in Baltimore County Public Schools and other related Baltimore County government services, advocating for the favor of increased funding for improved multilingual services throughout the county schools and government. I'm advocating for extra funding to provide support services for immigrant students in our public schools, in particular when they're graduating high school and seeking out higher education opportunities like college. I'm also asking for increased funding to support additional recreational opportunities for our youth in relation to using facilities in public parks. I'm advocating for additional funding for increasing workforce development for our immigrant youth. And I'm advocating for additional funding to increase security and safety in our schools. And last, advocating for increased funding for our schools in general, and also better wages for our Baltimore County Public Schools teachers so that we can better serve all of our students and our community. Thank you.
Longtime resident of Towson. I'm just going to be short and sweet. Crime and public safety is our #1 concern. Appreciate your recent efforts for the Tough on Crime messaging. Please keep it up. Fund our police, fund our communities, do whatever you need to do so that we can keep Towson safe and keep the people who have lived there living there. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy Keppel. I work for Weekend Backpacks Baltimore, but I'm also here today for Student Support Network as their advocacy committee. Really encouraging you to not only continue summer SNAP benefits, but for those under 5 as well. If we add those children, it's really key to their development. The WIC that is provided for them is not enough to supplement. We really need to add them on to the summer SNAP benefits.
Good evening. I'm a resident of Towson who decided to move here specifically because of the downtown, the charm, the walkability. I've lived walking distance to downtown for over 10 years, and the past year the crime, even though the violent crime has recently gotten much worse, the crime overall has gotten significantly worse. I asked if we could possibly have call boxes, those blue call boxes around downtown Towson for an additional safety measure, and if it's possible to attract businesses like bookstores or other family-friendly venues in downtown to kind of diversify the crowd a little bit. Thank you for everything you're doing to address crime.
I'm Greg Beller, and I'm here advocating for increased facilities for both indoor and outdoor pickleball Trust me, just like in the field of dreams, if you build it, they will come. Thank you.
I'm back from class. Yes, I'm back to say thank you. Thank you for the wonderful things that you're helping us to do in East Towson. I am advocating on behalf of a handful of seniors that we have that are a little bit intimidated by the CHAMP program, that HAMP program that the county has. And I'd love to be able to work with someone who is, can help us with that. Oh, hey, Terry, thank you. But mostly, at the end of this whole thing, I just want to say thank you. We intend to continue to do some great things in East Towson. Thank you for your support of the Road to Freedom Trail. I, as you well know, feel that that's a great thing, not just for East Towson, but for all of Towson. And I yield my time.
I'll just thank all of you for your presence and for being here so long. This has been a little bit of a marathon. I'm going to thank Councilman Ertel. If you have any closing remarks, and then we can say goodnight.
Thank you for everyone who came tonight. It's been a long night, and we heard a lot of good input, and we appreciate you being here.